session, we can learn from Raji's 20-year product experience on how to avoid being trapped in between the feature requests and your product's vision. So over to you, Raji, and we're waiting to listen from you. Thanks.
Thank you, Varshini. I'll just share my screen. Good morning, everybody. Happy to meet you all through this virtual event. So Varshini gave an introduction about myself. So I am Raji, you can call me Raji. And I'm sharing a different screen, so I will not be able to see your questions that are posted in the chat box. So I'll answer them towards the end of the session. So Varshini, do give me a stop when I have to. Okay, so this session is not just my own experiences alone. So I've been with the organization for 21 years now in product development. It's a collective knowledge that I have gained based on my working with the organization. And I've learned from my managers, from my mentors, my gurus, my peers, my subordinates. So that's the wisdom that I have with respect to how we can do any product and how we can balance. So that's what I will be sharing here. So I think if any of you would have, I'm sure some of you would have listened to the previous talk by Raj and Aniket. Raj shared about our story, Zoho story of how we started, how we bootstrapped, and we were able to hear from Aniket as well. So most of it are with respect to SaaS and product development. So before even I get into how to do the balance, so I would like to say what is that important for you to consider when you do a product development? Because at the end of the day, we are all doing or we are all into product development. And I saw a post by Chamli on the spread of audience who have registered for this session. It was a mix. I was so happy to see that it had founders, CXOs, people from product management, sales, marketing. That's the entire suite that is needed for any product development. But I would like to give or set the stage of these three pillars or the three P's that are important for any organizational success: the product, the people, and the process. So you should have what's the product that you're building and how you recruit your people and the processes you follow. So these are very important, and I'll just quickly touch upon them, giving some 1 or 2 pointers that sets the stage for the product development and to say about how you can balance, because all three are important. You can't just focus on one and leave the other. So products, when we say product development, I'm sure that is the core for any business, because we are all now in the SaaS product development where the product is being used by multiple people. We have many customers who take the product and do, versus we are doing specific changes for a particular customer. So that's a service. That's the services that any company does. I'm sure you understand that difference. So we are going to focus on the core idea, which is the product development. So let me start with this question. I miss the physical events because I'm not able to see the audience and ask these questions. I don't even see how my video is, and I'm just looking at the blank screen and at a pinhole camera and talking, assuming there are people on the other side and listening to me. So just take a look at these components or the words that are here. Do you know anything common here? Just think through. I know you'll not be able to give an answer. You might have read this, or you might have seen this in other presentations as well. But just to set the tone, just think, what is common among these? Human hair, bamboo, tortoise shell, tungsten, rubber. Can you say anything that is common? Can you say now? Yeah, I think the bulb moment is there for many people, right? Tungsten. So these are all the different elements that Edison used and failed before coming to know or before succeeding in finding that tungsten worked in bulbs. So why am I bringing this here? We are all talking about products, right? At Zoho, we have 50 different products. Zoho is a suite of apps that has products that can be used by any business end to end, from your customer relation to managing your employees. It's an entire breadth of products that we have. We call ourselves the operating system for your entire business. So if you know that there are 50 products that we have been successful, there are 200 of them where we have failed. So remember, if we are afraid of failures, we will not be able to proceed and see success in our business. So that is something very important when you start or when you do in your product development. Not everything will be successful. You must be willing to fail and do that quickly. Fail quickly, get up again, try again, do corrections and take it to the next level. So that is what is the mindset that you should have when you have to do any product development. So there goes this interesting quote. If you are willing to fail interestingly, be interesting in whatever you do, interestingly, you tend to succeed. Don't be afraid of failures. Just go ahead in your product, whatever you want to do. It might fail. Possibly you have not given the thought correctly. So you have to dig deeper. Raj was talking about fractal business being fractal puzzle, where you have to dig deeper to go and see what exactly you need to do in each of your domains. So if you're failing, find out what you have missed. Don't be afraid to fail. So that is very important to remember in your product development. So when you have to talk about product development and coming up with ideas, this is a book that I strongly recommend. This is a book by Kenneth Stanley. He's an artificial intelligence professor, and the book is titled Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned. So we can talk in length about this book. That itself will be a separate session. If you are a person who want to do or who want to come up with a creative idea and you want to do work in a creative way, this is something that you cannot miss. I strongly recommend you read this book, or there is a video where he talks about this book. Just listen to it. It will give you a different perspective for any problem that you have in hand and how you approach product development itself. He talks about, to say it in one line, this is about the myth of the objective. How you cannot set goal and trace it. We all know about setting goal and tracing that, right? But this book, the author talks about how setting a goal becomes a block for you to achieve it. So I would recommend you read this book if you want to do creative work. So set a goal, make a plan, get to work, stick to it and reach goals. This is 50 years old, guys. This doesn't work anymore. This is not the way how work is getting done in a creative environment. We are all in this SaaS software as a service model where we do things in agility. We want to do quicker releases. Don't be over obsessed with a fixed, rigid goal. There must be room for experimentation. So it should be like, if I take this step, how many interesting steps are there ahead of me versus I take the other step, how many interesting hops I can have. So progress towards that. There must be interesting things that you must be doing. If your milestones are becoming blocking for your end goal, don't be over obsessed with that. Just, you can make changes. You can make adjustments. There must be room for such changes in the way that you do product development. Covet interestingness in people. At the end of the day, that is what will make you come up with new ideas and great products. It is not that you sit in one place and think and you will be able to come up with ideas. No, you must have that freedom. Then you will have there must be room for experimentation, and that is what will give you better ideas and great ideas that can lead to another great startup itself. Covet interestingness. So in doing product development, make sure you do interesting products. Let me move on to people. So people are the great asset, right? So that is they are the intellectual property of the organization itself. Anything else, others can come up with the idea, That's important, and that comes from people. So the way you hire people is very, very important. So you must have the openness to hire smarter, faster people than you. If you have the right set of people who are in line with you, in line with your goals and in line with your product ideas, who will come along with you, then they will help you to reach success. So you must be no ego attached. You must be able to hire people who are smarter than you. They will give more ideas that will help you improve your organization. And this is a famous quote by Aristotle. What we have to learn to do, we learn by doing. So find if people are really interested in learning things. There is no end to learning. So because every day new technologies are going to keep coming, you're going to have newer versions of databases that you have to adopt. You may have to change your client entirely based on the new technologies that are coming so that it responds faster. If your people are not having that urge to learn things and adopt to newer technologies, it is very difficult for you to sustain in this business. So hire people who will be willing to learn things as they are doing. So don't be obsessed with academic credentials. We don't care for academic credentials. At Zoho, I'm sure all of you know about Zoho. We have our own Zoho University where the children learn, and they see that as a meaningful alternative to the standard education and that conventional education. And we see them doing good. We only see the urge in people. Do they really have the fire in the belly to come and do the work? So those are the people you should look for. And if you have hired the right people, that is that gives the first step towards reaching your goal of doing successful products. So take care of your people and do hire smarter people without worrying about just paper credentials. Now moving on to processes. Do I have to have any process at all in the first place? If at all you have, just make it very simple. Have simple processes for you, because without processes, it's going to be chaotic. You cannot be able to release as you plan to do the releases. So have long-term goals, but try to do it in short executions. Do not plan for a mega release of 6 months once I will do a release, or 1 year once I'll do a release. No, there has to be processes and tools in place where you can do quicker releases. 12 updates in a day should be possible, not once in 12 days or once in 12 months. So for those things, you must have the right tools and right processes that are easy to be followed. And you should know your strengths and weaknesses. SWOT analysis is something very important that you need to do any business or any product that you're doing. You have to do that for your product, for you to know what is your strength and your weakness. And you should be doing this for your competitors as well. So the business landscape out there is very competitive, guys, because where there is no competition, there is no opportunity to grow. There will be competition in any space that you take. How can you stand ahead of your competition? What is the additional points that you give? What is the additional benefits that people get by using your product? To know that, you should be able to do the analysis for your own product as well as with respect to your competitor, so that you can find out what is your USP. You need to do the SWOT analysis and identify your USP, the unique selling proposition. How do you differ from the rest of the competition there in the market? Why should people come and buy your product? It's a straightforward question that people ask. Why should I buy your product when there are so many other things? So find out your unique proposition. There are many products. Find out how you can have value add to it, how you can make the life of the customers easy by adding more nice, cool features, or in any way that could be. It could be in the experience that they have. It could be in the support that you give. Find out what is your USP and talk about that USP and follow that in all your releases. Make sure you stick on to it. And that's how you will be able to see success in that competitive market. There is going to be competition. So SWOT analysis and identifying your USPs are important. So I just want to quickly touch upon this because this forms the base, the product that you do, make it very interesting. Have unique people, smart people who can work for you in line with your organizationals or in line with your ideas and the goals that you have in mind. And the processes, identify your do SWOT analysis and identify your USP. All these three put together is what forms the base for any organization or any product development. But why are we doing all these things now? We are doing all this only to satisfy our customers, right? So customer is the king. Customer is the center of the three things that we do. Because any business, if you don't have customers, then what's the point in doing a business? You need customers to use your products. So you have to keep your customer in mind when you have your product, or when you in people or in process. All of this have to work towards giving better benefits for end customers. So customer is the king. Keep them in the center and work towards making it better for them. So with respect to customers, or how to deal with customers, there are only two things that I have to tell you. I'm sure you all know this, but that to set that in this context, I'm again repeating it. Be open to criticism and listen to your customers. You must be willing to listen to your customers. You must, we say it as develop thick skins. They will be harsh. But if you are not willing to listen to them, you will not be able to improve your product. So why are they coming and complaining? Because there are some, see, if you see, not everybody complains. If there are 10 people who comes and says that your product is not working or it is having some issues, there will be 100 of them who just left without saying any complaint, without giving any complaint. That's a natural tendency of human beings. Sometimes we give complaints, or if we see it's not working, many of us leave. So when few people are willing to come forward and give suggestions, be open to them. It could be they are, they are saying it's not working, the product is buggy. It is really, because the product that you're doing, it's just a product for you, but they are the ones who are actually using it. So when there are some complaints, be open, listen to them, see if there are really issues, and see how you can improve them. So being open and in listening to your customers is very, very important when you have to deal with your customers. The second thing is, whatever you do, it is for your end customers, right? So don't do a mega project and give it to customers only towards the end. You have to iterate with your customers. The product that you're doing, give it to the customers, give it to them, ask them to use it and ask for feedback. And that's how you can improve. And when you're iterating with customers, your iteration should not be like this. You do a requirement document, you share it with them, then do a design doc, share it with them. It's all in air. You're just talking in air, not a workable model, then a prototype, and then a final version. So this is going to take longer time. And in all the stages, you have not given a working model at all. Do not do this, do the iteration like this. Instead, you have to iterate with your customer like this. At every stage, you give a working model. So when customer takes and uses it and they give feedback, you can enhance on it and further increase the capability of the feature or the product that you are doing, and then give. So at every stage, make sure you are giving a working model, get that feedback and enhance it. That's when you will be able to give a product. When you give the final version, everybody will be able to use it without any problem. So you have to listen to customers, and you have to iterate with your customers. When you're iterating, don't do as give a working thing towards the end. Instead, do it at every stage. So these two are the key points to keep in mind when you are working with your customers. So those are, I just covered the critical 2 points that I wanted to talk about, because each one can be talked at length. So now when we come to product roadmap, how is a product roadmap defined? How do you define what you need to do in the next 1 year? Or how do you define, we say it's in the product roadmap, right? So how do you find out what you need to do and add it to your roadmap? There are two ways. There are two ways of adding features or coming up with product roadmaps. And the first one is the technology push. There are technologies that are coming up, and you want to make use of them, do some R&D, make use of them in your product and do releases. A new client framework has come up. You may want to study about it and include it in your product. There is the caching technology that is an improved version, which when you use, you will be able to see better results. You want to do some research on it, include in your product and release. So those are all the things based on the technological innovations. You want to add it in your product roadmap. So that is one side. That's the technology push. The other side is the market pull. The market requirements will be different. The customer requirement will be different. They want these features. The market demands these features because the competition has these. So those are other side. That is the other side that drives your roadmap. So these are the two sides that drives any product roadmap: the technology push and the market pull. So both will be there, both will be needed, and both will be beneficial in some case or the other. But see, for your business in hand, for your customers, what is important, what needs to be prioritized, and then you will have to take the requirement accordingly. And about customer ask, what does the customer ask? What does the customer want? You have a product which can be used by multiple people out there in the market. Then why are that they are asking for features? They may want to, they will ask features that they want to do some changes in your product that you're giving. They may already have some tool, so they want to integrate your product with that tool. Or they may want to take the data from their tool and put it in your product. So the integrations, the changes, could be anything. They have some legacy systems and they want that to be worked. It could be a completely new feature, or it could be an enhancement to an feature that you already have. Could be anything. So there are these two. You have your own product map and you have the customers asking it. How do you balance? You need to come up with the right balance so that you can take your product to the next level successfully without affecting your customers. I'll just share some quick tips on how you can do the balance based on how I have been handling or how we have been handling in our product management that I have learned. First thing is you have to worry about, is this feature that is being asked by one customer, or is it asked by many customers? So that's something that you have to see. Somebody is asking for a very niche change in a very niche feature. It's more than the ask. There are two things. If it's a new product that you have, not many people will be asking. You will be tempted towards doing anything that the customer asks. But if you can't see that many customers are asking, just think, is the feature beneficial, or is the feature useful for only one customer, or is it useful for many customers? The usefulness of the feature, the usability of the feature, is it for a particular customer or is it for a larger audience? So that is one thing that you have to keep in mind when you want to do the balance. If it is going to be useful only for a particular customer, you need not take it. Depending on your availability of resource, you can just have it as a lower priority. Choose those features that are being useful or that will be useful for a larger audience. So to do that, you can do the other thing is you can have community forums, open community forums where whenever a feature request comes, suppose it comes in support as a support question, you make sure you discuss all that in the open community forum. Have it as a feature request. Ask other customers to upvote it. Ask people to say, I also want this, I also want this. So the more votes they get, you can prioritize in your product roadmap. So that is the other thing that you can
Raji, we are running up. We are correctly 4 minutes away for the session to end.
Yeah, I'm almost towards the end. Yeah, sure. Thanks. So the next thing that you have to do is give extensibility. See if don't have your product as very rigid ones. Have API supports, because if some customer want to integrate it into their system, so make sure they take your APIs and try to do the extension and integration into their system, and it should work. So if you are able to build it as APIs, then it will be easy for them to put it together and still make it as a workable model. The next thing is customizations. Don't have it very rigid. There should be options for customizing the UI, be it the color change or text change, or it could be a small button change, could be anything. If you give that flexibility, most of the features are taken care of. People need not come to you, customers need not come to you and ask, because they want to white label it and use it. Give that customizations in your product. If you're taking care of all this in your product itself, it will become easy for you to do the balance when they ask for features. This is something that is very important that I learned during my very early stages from my manager. Time management. We will be very, very tempted to commit timelines to customers. Please don't do that. You have to be cautious. Don't say them, I'll be able to give it to you in 1 day or 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. No, all projects have deadlines. All of them, when we have a deadline, that is going to be delayed. But if at all you need to commit, do it in such a way that you give it enough time and say tentatively in Q1 of 2021, things like that. And if you see that you're not able to keep up to that, keep the customers informed well ahead of time. Don't wait till the last minute. That's what I mean by lead more than lag. If your project is going to be delayed by 1 day, don't go and tell in the last minute that it's going to be delayed by 1 day or 1 month. Tell them 1 day in advance. Tell them 1 month in advance that there's going to be a delay. Then people will really appreciate you for being open about it. So that's what I mean by lead more than lag. If you learn this art of time management, it's going to help you a great way in your product development. The other last one that I have to say is, it's okay. You can leave behind some customers. You cannot attend to all customer commitments. If you're not able to take everyone along, if you're not able to satisfy everyone, if your product doesn't have that feature, fine. Don't just be over obsessed with, I have to satisfy every customer's requirement. You will end up messing the whole thing. Prioritize. You can leave some customers behind if they are not in line with what you have, because the product that you have must be usable as it is by the end customers. So those are some things, these are some tips. If you keep in mind, it will be helpful for you to do the balance of what customer asks and what your product roadmap has. And this is one final tip: put yourself in customer shoes, because only when you become the consumer of your own product, you will know the real problems of customers and you will be able to enhance it. So that is very important. At Zoho, we do that. The whole of 8,000, 9,000 organization, Zoho runs entirely on Zoho. We use our own products. Whatever product you build, make sure you use them for your day-to-day business. That is when you will see the real problems and you can fix it. So to do the balance of product and a customer, you must have right people and simple processes to bring this balance. And with the help of these 6 points as to see how it is useful for many customers, and have community forums, give customizations and extensible options. It's okay to leave some customers behind and have a right time management. That is how you will be able to bring a balance. So these are some tips that I wanted to share based on my own learnings from this 20 years of experience. I hope you are able to take at least 1 or 2 from this. Thank you for your time. And
thank you so much for open to question. I think we're kind of running out of time, so I'm just taking one question out of the hat.
Sure.
How do you deal with the pressure from sales when the customer, there's an urgent ask for a large deal, and it'll impede the general or larger goal or vision for the product as well? So how do you take up such situations?
Yeah, it depends on as I said, it depends on the feature. If it is going to be an entirely new feature that is going to take more time, in your product development, it is definitely going to take more time, and you don't have the resources for doing them, it is okay. Because when we don't have the resources, there is no point in going and giving a false hope that we will do it and sign the deal. Later, you're going to lose the credibility that people had on you. Instead, you can be open, say that we will not be able to take up now. They will, whatever timeline you can give it to them. It is okay. Or if you have the bandwidth, you must have to staff up your team and see if you can take it. So that is the balance that you have to see, depending on your market needs or depending on your business situation. Because you are the best decision. I mean, you are the best decider for your business decision. Can you add more people to see that they can take up this requirement? And then that you have to plan for that time as well, because it's not that you just add more people into a project, the work gets done. That doesn't happen.
Correct.
They have to learn, they have to understand, and then they will have to do. So just adding more people into a product does not reduce the time by half. That doesn't happen. If a feature will take time, it takes 1 year time, it does take that time. We have to accept that, and customers also will know. They will also understand. That's just the urge from sales team that will be there, because that is their duty. They want to somehow bring in their that sales insight. So having that balance is the tough challenge of the product manager, and you must be cool enough to handle both the sides.
Okay. So for the others, we will take in account your questions and we'll make sure it is answered and give out an email. And thank you personally, Rajalakshmi, for joining us today. And this session was beautiful.
Yeah, you can write to me for any clarifications. I'm available or in my social media accounts. I'll reply there as well.
Thank you so much,
your time.
everyone. Thank you.